I'm Carrie Schilling from Kettering Health Network's Community Outreach Program. I also lead our integrative medicine program for Kettering Health Network's cancer services. I'm here today to present part 2 of our stress detox series. Part 2, we're going to talk a little bit more about physical movement. If you have an opportunity to go back and look at part 1, we welcome you to do that. First thing I'd like to touch on is stress. What is stress? We're talking about stress detox today. As you would see in the previous video, if you've watched it, we talk about cortisol and its role in how our bodies react to stress. So what is stress? You know what your stress is. There's lots of things in our lives that can cause stress. It's all about knowing how to interject activities through the course of our day that help reduce our stress levels. Unfortunately, I cannot sit here and teach you how to not have stress in your life. That's not realistic. Obviously, we all know that. We're going to have stress in our lives. You know what your stressors are, but I would encourage you to take just a moment and think about through the course of your day, how do you cope with stress? What's working well for you? What perhaps is not working so well for you? How do you feel stress in your body? Stress, anxiety, difficult emotions can cause that cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone that will put us into the fight or flight status, right? Fight or flight, everyone seems to have heard of now. It's that when you encounter the bear in the woods sensation, that immediate some threat to your physical body. We dump cortisol, that's a great thing. That prepares us to fight or to flee. However, the likelihood that you and I are going to encounter a bear in the woods today is not so likely. What we do encounter is that bear that just kind of follows us around all day long. Whether that bear is current world situation and watching the news and the stress that comes from that. Perhaps it's the working from home and trying to homeschool children. Perhaps it's finances and bills and taxes. Perhaps it's relationships. Perhaps it's workload or relationships with coworkers and bosses. Whatever that thing is that causes us stress in our life, we're no longer getting that big dump of cortisol that we can fight or run. We're getting this little trickle all day long. That cortisol and the stress hormones create a predictable situation in our body. Our blood thickens a little bit because we're preparing to bleed, because we're preparing to fight. Our heart rate increases, our respirations increase. Our gastric situation, the peristalsis and gastric juices slow down a little bit because that's not necessary to fight or flight. We function in more reptilian brain, less higher brain function going on. All of these things can contribute to many of the diagnoses that we see in primary care physician visits. Many of the causes, the reasons for primary care physician appointments are related to stress-related disorders. So what can we do throughout the course of our day to reverse this, to get us less in fight or flight and more in rest and digest? Rest and digest is where all those good chemicals start to go dump back into the body, where we can regain a homeostasis. So the blood is got the right chemistry to respirations, the gastric situation, everything kind of regulates and comes back into a good healthy status. We want to find things through the course of our day to identify our stress, identify where we're feeling that stress in our body, and interject moments of rest and digest in our day. How do you do that? What works for you? What has been successful in helping you in your days when you're stressed and you need to regroup and regather? What hasn't necessarily worked so well? One of the things that I often come back to is simply meditation, mindfulness meditation specifically. And I would like to start, as we jump into the meat of our talk today, I would like to start by just encouraging you for just a moment to sit with your feet on the ground, Sit comfortably, honor your back, shoulder, wherever you may feel tension or stress or have difficulties. Honor that space in your body and just move and get a little comfortable. And then without changing anything, I would just encourage you to feel yourself breathe. Perhaps soften your eyes a bit. And for the next moment, let's focus your awareness on your body. You feel your feet on the floor. Feel the support of the floor on the soles of your feet. Bring your attention and awareness up through your ankles, up through your lower legs. Bring your awareness into your knees. Try to relax your knees and your lower legs. Bring your awareness to your thighs. Feel the support of your chair in the back of your thighs. Up through your hips. Relax your hips and let your legs fall. Bring your awareness through your lower back, your mid-back. Feel that area between your shoulder blades. Up through your shoulders, the tops of your shoulders, and let your shoulders drop. Bring your awareness up your neck to the base of your skull. Up around your scalp to the top of your head. Bring your awareness to your eyebrows. Release your eyebrows, release your eyelids. Feel them soften. Soften your jaw. And once again, back to your breath. Feel where the breath enters your body. Perhaps the coolness on your nose and the warmth as you exhale. So with that very short body scan meditation, a mindfulness of your body and where you are right now today. One of the causes of stress in our life as we're living it today is discomfort, aches and pains. Now, of course, if you have an ache or pain that's lasted for some amount of time or is severe, I would encourage you to see your physician, encourage you to get that all checked out. But talking about just the aches and pains that come from, perhaps so many of us are working from home today, and that poor ergonomics of our workstation now, or trying to work from the sofa with our laptop in our laps, it's not exactly the best thing for our bodies. So finding those areas in our body that are causing a little bit of discomfort. Now, you'll notice the slides talk about office discomfort, but this stands true for anyone. It's not just office workers, and especially it is true for home office workers. But everything we do today will pertain to all of us, whether it's office discomfort or just body discomforts in general. But that discomfort that can come from our body posture can be a primary cause of stress for all of us. Body posture is one of the things that we have the most control over to alleviate some of these discomforts that we develop. But we get so entrenched in what we're doing, whether that's the screen as you're emailing and you're writing reports, or that's the television and how engaging the show is you're watching. We don't necessarily notice that the posture we're in is kind of crimping us or causing our body to contract in a way that is going to cause us some discomfort. In a moment, it's going to get loud enough that you're going to pay attention. But if we can catch it a little bit earlier and interact with it, we can do a lot to alleviate the stress that it causes later when we get up and try to walk around and it's hurting. So I would encourage you to take that little body scan meditation several times a day if you can, or whenever you have that break, just before you sit down to eat your lunch. Just take 1 minute to actually check in with your body. Purposely relax those areas that you're holding tension or maybe holding tension in. One very common area, something I'll see, and you'll see the gentleman in the slide kind of grabbing their shoulder. I oftentimes see folks, especially when we have this world that we're on our computers, we're on our phones, even the headrests in our car pushes our head forward. That constant head forward posture that so much of the technology that we deal with today causes creates that tension in those muscles that are meant to hold our head in good posture. Now we're leaning forward and we're creating that tension because we're causing the muscle to stretch to allow the head to go forward. But it has to contract at the same time to keep your head up so it's not just falling down on your chest. So this area right through here is probably the number one area of concern that I hear from folks. The number two area of concern is through the hip area. So we're going to do some very basic chair yoga or office exercise to alleviate some of those areas. So what I would encourage you to do is, if you have a chair in your environment that's stable, preferably not on wheels, but if it's on wheels, if it's an office chair, if you can lock them or make sure you have something nearby that you can hold on to. If you don't have an office style chair, maybe a dining room chair or a kitchen table chair would be a good option, or just wherever you are, play along as best you can with your seating arrangement wherever you are. I would again encourage you, if you have any aches and pains, severe, or if it's been going on for some time, if it's something more than just a nagging ache from positioning, I would encourage you to see your physician. I would also say, through everything we're about to do, I would encourage you to breathe slow. This is not exercise to get your heart rate up. That's not the goal of what I'm about to show you. The goal of what I'm about to show you is release of tension and stress in muscles that are causing you discomfort, that are aiding and abetting your stress level, right? So we want to reduce the stress level by reducing the tension in those muscles that are getting abused by our posture all day. Breathing deep, breathing slow, moving slow through every movement. I am not a physical therapist. I am a massage therapist. One of the things I tell my folks is, I want you to slow down and listen to your body. I can't tell you how long to hold that stretch, how many times to do that stretch. Your body will tell you. This should all feel yummy and comforting and not be painful. If anything's painful, stop right away. It's not a competition. Move within your own range of motion, and that range of motion may be very small. That range of motion may be full, but feel it, rest into it, let it bring you comfort, and let it bring you a sense of release to those muscles. So the first thing we'll mention, and I'm going to do as best I can to show you, I'm going to turn forward in my chair, and you always kind of want to sit, in this case, up to the edge of your chair, wherever it's safe and comfortable. And we're kind of getting at the low and mid back at this point. So if anyone's done yoga, this would be like a cat-cow pose. So we're simply going to, with the breath, nice deep breath, and extend the spine forward, kind of rolling the shoulders back and down. Maybe look up to the ceiling, and on that nice big inhale, just feel the chest expanding forward. and the arch forward of the spine. And then on your exhale, just think about bringing the whole upper body forward, rolling forward, again within your comfort level, not necessary to go all the way to the floor, but just think about rolling the shoulders forward, feeling that area between your shoulder blades and in the upper to mid back, feeling that area expand. As you exhale down and reverse it, again, inhaling nice and deep and rolling everything back. Allow the spine to kind of arch forward. And exhale, bringing the body forward. Again, slow and controlled with the breath. Feeling those muscles soften with each movement. One of the areas with people working from their home offices I'm hearing a lot of complaint about that I didn't necessarily hear before is that area just at the mid-back. I think a lot of that comes from this kind of sitting in our chair or trying to work from a sofa or a recliner that doesn't have a lot of back support. Perhaps getting a little creative with your work environment or your environment at home to make sure you're getting adequate support for that low and mid back area. The next movement is to open up more through the side body and again the lower back. Moving again with the breath and everything we're doing, moving in comfort, nothing to discomfort. But with this stretch above, this would be, if you're familiar with yoga, this would be your mountain pose, right? So planting both feet on the floor, again, relaxing the hips, relaxing the parts of the body that the muscles we're not using, don't engage them. Allow them to just let them be. So allow the legs to fall open just a little bit, opening the hip area. So simply with the inhale, a nice deep breath, and feeling that stretch overhead, really moving and feeling that stretch overhead with the inhale. Opening all through the side body, allowing the ribs to lift, and on the exhale, within your comfort, within your range of motion, allowing the body to just fall forward on the exhale. Feeling that stretch through the low back and the upper hips. With the inhale, back up into that tall pose. Feeling the stretch through the ribs, lifting the rib cage away from the hips, and on the exhale, folding forward again, allowing that movement through the low back and spine. Always moving slowly and with intention when we're addressing especially the low back. No quick movement, no rapid movement until those muscles are looser and you've warmed up quite a bit. But that's what we're doing here, is warming it up and stretching, right? So allowing those lower back muscles to lengthen, allowing some articulation to the spine, some movement in the spine. The next pose I'd like to look at is this, I just mentioned articulating the spine. That means movement of the spine. There's a series of little tiny muscles that surround the spine. And when we don't move a lot, those can really get locked up and cause a lot of that just feeling of stiffness that we have. I would encourage you to utilize this particular movement. If you are a person who likes to twist a lot, be cautious with that. So this is a safe way for us to create some movement in the spine when we're feeling like things just need to be adjusted a little bit. Again, we're going to move slowly with intention and within your comfort level. So I'm going to turn so I'm sideways on my chair. And again, feet on the floor, really plant and allow your legs to rest. Allow that position to be natural from your waist down. And from here, I would encourage you to take a nice deep breath. And what we want to think about is really elongating the spine, really thinking about your hips are nicely planted in your chair, but you're just being pulled up by the spine. So you're lengthening. And then imagine that skeleton from your old biology class or your old science class. One by one, we want to turn those vertebrae, one by one. So this starts way at the base of the spine, and you start to turn, right, from that base, and then turning a little more, and turning a little more. This is not grabbing the chair and making yourself rotate. This is about the spine, one vertebra at a time, creating that twist all the way up, and then you can continue. I'm going to look backward for a moment. Continue. I am not grabbing the chair and pulling. I'm bracing myself with the chair, but continue that movement. Drop the shoulders, relax the shoulders, but continue that rotation through the spine all the way up to the skull. You may have far more rotation than what I just demonstrated. You may have far less, and that's okay. It's where is your comfort level. And then you would want to turn and do the same to the opposite side. Again, just simply turning the body to the other side and rotating in the same slow, controlled fashion. When you come back to center, come back slowly and rest there for a moment. Give those discs between the vertebrae time to readjust. I highly encourage this for many of my folks that have that locked up feeling through the hips, and also the problems with the arms, where you start to feel issues down your arms. When all of that is locked up and not allowing free movement, we start to feel it in other parts of our body. So again, however, slow, controlled, only within what is your comfort level. This next one is a little bit more complicated. Again, moving more into the hips as we just did. As I said, it's not a competition between two people. It's not a competition, like you don't have to try to do it the way I'm doing it, but it's not a competition within your own body as well. So this first stretch with the hip, this would be if you do yoga, this would be comparable to a pigeon pose, right? So we're gonna have you cross your legs up so this ankle is rested on the knee, and then allow, again, you're sitting up nice and straight on the hip bones, breathing slow and relaxed. Relax the shoulders, let go of the jaw, and allow that knee to fall out. A little bit of pressure may be good, may feel good. If that is a comfortable, good stretch for you, you can start to hinge the body forward. We don't necessarily want to roll over top, but if you can hinge forward at the hip at all and just allow that sensation through the hip and play with it. Feel if you shift your weight one direction or another, you'll start to feel it in different areas of the hip. And it should feel yummy. It should feel good. Allow the time for that to just register. That feels so good. All right. The hips become very stiff when we're sitting so long. Our bodies are meant to be moving. They're not necessarily meant for being still, especially in that seated position. As I said, it's not a competition. You'll see as I bring my other leg up, I don't have nearly as much range of motion in this hip. And that's okay. I'm going to be kind to this hip and just allow it to do what it can do. So you see, I can't even begin to get this leg flat. So I'm gonna get in that position, remaining again up on my sits bones, nice tall spine. Breathe and relax and let my shoulders go. And let this knee fall where it will. If it's comfortable to put some pressure and try to get a little more range of motion, do that. If it's not, then don't. Just let it go to where it's comfortable. Again, hinging forward at the hip and seeing where that stretch may feel good, where it may need a little more, but it should feel yummy and comfortable to move into that stretch a little bit. If you have any areas of pain, stop what you're doing. Okay, so that's you feel that stretch around the back of the hips and through the kind of low back, top of the hips area. There's another stretch here on this slide, which is pretty basic, right? It's just opening up through the chest. So much of what we're doing back here is tension from this forward, as I mentioned. So the more we can do to open through the front of the neck and open through the chest, really playing with the palms up or the palms down back here, playing with that. You'll feel that in different areas of the shoulder and the across the chest. And thinking of a string pulling you up by the chest here and opening all of that up. Oftentimes, what the area at the back of the neck and the upper shoulders wants is to be just left alone. It wants you to open up and allow those muscles to go back to their natural positions, because we're holding them on a stretch all day as we're on our keyboards, on our phones, in our cars. So anything we can do to just open that up and rest those muscles behind us, they may stop hollering at us quite as loudly. So we talked about stretching the hips, the outer area of the hips, the back of the legs, and I'm not going to show you this from the standing. If you choose to do the standing pose, I would suggest to you to make sure it's not a chair on wheels. If it's on wheels, make sure you have a desk, you have plenty of things there to stabilize you. Just be very cautious that that leg that's planted on the floor is well planted and your balance is good. But if we're doing this from your chair, from a seated position, simply putting the foot out in front of you, and it does change the dynamic, whether the toe is pulled up towards you or pointed down. You'll stretch different areas. You'll get deeper into the calf with the toe pulled up towards you. And again, as we're doing this, I don't want to see you roll forward. What I want is that nice straight posture, shoulders relaxed, nice deep breath, and think about hinging forward at the hips. It's not about how close you get to the leg that's important. Doesn't matter. What's important is, what do you feel right back here? Do you feel the stretch in the back of the thigh? If you don't feel the stretch in the back of the thigh, if you're just feeling it down here in the calf, that's great. That's a calf stretch. But if you loosen the toes a little bit and straighten the leg a little more, you can go further and get more into the back of the leg. So play with that. Really feel, what is your body telling you as you move through, playing with different parts of that stretch. Doing that with both legs again. Toes up, we'll stretch more of the calf. Toes pointed, more in the back of the leg. Thinking about hinging at the hips, not just rolling forward. Taking the time to breathe and feel, what is that in your body? What is that in your body? Is that a nagging ache that's contributing to your stress, the stress of your day? Is that an area that perhaps you can do this several times a day? Perhaps this is more bothersome to you than you really realized. And spending a couple of moments there can help alleviate some of the stress so we can be more productive in the other parts of our day. So that'll wrap up the physical stretches, the physical movements, the office chair or chair yoga and movement. I would encourage you to do those movements through and really feel, what are you feeling in your body, and utilize movement to alleviate those nagging aches and pains through the course of your day that may be causing that stress and contributing to the stress. Again, interjecting little activities through the course of our day can benefit our stress and our anxiety, sometimes more so than just an appointed time that we're going to do a stress or anxiety practice, right? So spending that one minute to just check in with your body, and then spending a couple minutes to just go through those movements and see where you're feeling it. Where are you feeling it? Where can you address it? Once you identify what your problem area is, then you can just go straight to those movements and those exercises a couple times a day to just kind of work through it. Another approach to dealing with our stress and anxiety is breathing techniques. There's a number of them out there. Many people are familiar with the 8-4-8 breath, which is just simply inhaling for a count of 8, inhaling slowly for a count of 8, hold it for 4 seconds, and exhale slowly to a count of 8. Something as simple as controlling our breath intentionally has a biological effect. That cortisol dump creates a rapid, shallow breath. So we tend to breathe more rapidly, but it's a more shallow breath, right? Because we're just trying to get in as much oxygen as we can at that point. By creating the opposite of that nice, slow, controlled 8 count in, hold it for 4, 8 counts out, you're reversing the language. In fight or flight, your brain is telling your body it needs to prepare for fight or flight. By creating an intentional calm breath, your body is giving feedback to the central nervous system that says, no, we're good, everything's okay, we're calm now. So you can actually start to force the cortisol down, force the stress hormones down by simply intentionally controlling your breath. It works both ways. The body communicates with the mind as much as the mind communicates with the body. So it's just creating, instead of that feedback loop, we're just creating a reverse message from the body to the brain saying, no, 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 we're good, we're good, calm down, our situation's okay. So the simple 8-4-8 breath is pretty easy to learn. The alternate nostril breathing is a little more complicated, so I'm going to show that to you. This is a very good one to use when you're just feeling scattered, when you're just trying to juggle too many things, can't get really focused on one thing. For folks that tend to squirrel, right? Tend to become very distracted very easily, and it's hard for us to get zoomed in on one thing that really needs our attention, our awareness, a little more grit, a little more thought. The alternate nostril breathing tends to help kind of pull all that together and really allow us to access more of that higher brain function. So this can get a little bit complicated, so I'm going to try to kind of walk through it. What I would encourage you to do, and I know that she's got her fingers down in the video, but I prefer to take the index finger and the ring finger and simply place them on my forehead. It's the best way for me to do this. Place them on my forehead. So that allows you then the ring finger, a pinky finger to close the left nostril, the thumb to close the right nostril. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is bring your hand to your head. Careful not to bring your head to your hand, right? We want to get in a relaxed position. Bringing your hand up to your head, index and middle finger on your forehead, and simply take a nice, slow, controlled breath in and out through the nose, in and out through the nose. One more in breath. And then utilizing the thumb, close the right nostril and exhale through the left nostril. Inhale through the left nostril. Then pause, close the left nostril with the ring finger and open the right. And exhale through the right. Inhale. Pause. Close the right nostril. Exhale through the left. And inhale. Pause. Go back to the right nostril. Exhale. And inhale. It's recommended you do this for 6 to 10 breaths, whatever's comfortable for you. Helps give us a sense of clarity in our thoughts, right? Helps slow down the system. This is very beneficial to do just before you have to do that thing that takes more thought of anything else in your day. Perhaps before you need to have that conversation you're not looking forward to, or jump on that Zoom meeting, or somewhere that you want to be at your best, most on performance. That alternate nostril breathing has demonstrated to help us gather those scattered thoughts. And I believe that's all I have to talk with you about today. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you have an opportunity to listen to all 3 parts of our series, and thanks again for joining us.